In 2026, we saw a total of 5 senior world records fall in track and field, and we also saw a total of 6 under-20 world records go down. From Mondo Duplantis soaring over yet another world record in the men's pole vault, to Caleb McRae breaking the ever-controversial indoor 400 world record, to Josh Hoey calling his shot and then taking down the men's 800 record that had previously stood since 1997, there are certainly a few superstar athletes that are absolutely crushing it in the track world right now. But some of the bigger headlines were actually achieved this indoor season by teenagers. Every year it seems like the trackflation bubble is about to burst, and somehow it just gets crazier and crazier. And maybe this is brought on by earlier exposure to the sport or a healthy increase in performance from super spikes, but regardless of how exactly this happens, teenagers seem to be closing the gap on pros like never before. And while there are a few standout athletes, such as Sam Ruth from New Zealand and Cooper Lutkenhouse from the US, that truly demolished the professionals this season, there is also another runner from the States who achieved something truly remarkable this season. And it's something that has never happened in the entire history of track and field. When it comes to high school royalty and running, one of the biggest names in our sport is currently Quincy Wilson from Bullish High School. Now, if you don't know Wilson, you're probably new to this channel, but to sum up his accomplishments, he's a 400-meter specialist who holds the world youth record with a staggering time of 44.10, a time fast enough to take down Bryce Deadman, a previous Olympic champion in the Tokyo 4x4.
For the line, Wilson and Deadman headed to Paris and they meet the line at the same time.
This time is also fast enough to place in many previous world champs and Olympic games, and at the time, Wilson was only 17 when he did this. Even while competing against the pros as a teenager, Wilson absolutely cooked this field. And this amazingly was not the first time he did this, as exactly 1 year earlier, he pretty much did the exact same thing as he broke the world youth record and also beat Bryce Deadman, this time in 44.20 seconds. Watching this high school sensation compete against the pros is quite the sight to see, not just because he's so much smaller than most, but because he just keeps breaking barriers and keeps improving, despite already achieving historic marks for his age. And this brings us to 2026, because this season, Wilson embarked on a nearly impossible mission in the 400 meters, and it was something that started all the way back in 2023. If we take a trip back in time to the 2023 New Balance Indoor Nationals, we can see the 15-year-old freshman, Quincy Wilson, winning the indoor 400 meters in this national championships, running a quick time of 46.67 to take the win. Now, for a freshman to do this was simply insane, and despite going up against only seniors and one junior, the true freshman Wilson took down the rest of this field by more than half of a second, as Jacob Andrews finished in second place in 47.11 seconds. This was one of Wilson's early achievements that really set the stage for his 400 dominance while in high school, and for the following year in 2024, he did the exact same thing in New Balance, taking first place against a stacked field, this time in 45.76. This time not only continued his indoor nationals winning streak, but it was also a new national high school record, and he was only 16 when he did this. Imagine having such a huge title to your name twice, and you still have more than 2 entire years of high school eligibility. Well, that was exactly what Wilson was experiencing as a sophomore. Now, after running incredibly well in 2024 and also competing in the Paris Games, Wilson arrived to 2025 as not just the favorite, but as someone with a huge target on his back. But, as many people predicted, he took yet another gold medal in the New Balance Indoor Nationals in 45.71, but this time he was pushed all the way to the tape by Andrew Salvadon, who finished just 0.13 seconds behind Wilson. This was another clutch win for Wilson, who now was a 3-time indoor national champion, but with each passing year, Wilson continued to prove his speed, but people were getting closer and closer. And this brings us to 2026, and this really was where his task became the most challenging that it has ever been, Because if Wilson went on to win this title, that would mean that he would become the 400-meter national champion for 4 consecutive seasons. And this would practically make him an icon in the prep world, because to win something like this requires not just greatness as a junior and a senior, but as a freshman and a sophomore as well. Clearly, Wilson had to be the favorite heading into this competition, but he was also unaware of what was about to happen, because in this 400 final, Quincy would be pushed like he had never been pushed by a fellow high schooler before. And in one of the closest finishes in New Balance Nationals history, Wilson still managed to take down this field and break the national high school record yet again, winning this race in 45.37 seconds. However, this victory was not an easy task, because he only finished 0.01 seconds ahead of the second-placed athlete Jaden DeLeon, who finished in 45.38 seconds. This 400 was one of the closest that I had ever seen, and it was really one of the more nail-biting moments that I could remember at this competition. But with this victory, Wilson had officially won the historic four-peat, and he somehow managed to pull off this win in one of the most dramatic ways imaginable. Now, I'm sure that there are a few other 4-time national champions in some event in some sport. Perhaps some of you know this person, and if you do, leave a comment down below to share with us all. But Wilson, with this victory, has proved beyond any doubt that he is one of the greatest prep athletes in track and field history. And he had already pretty much proved that with his previous World Youth records, but this really hammered it home. It's also amazing to see that Wilson has progressed with each passing season. He ran a 46.67 in 2023, and he improved with every year all the way down to 45.37. And this new time was fast enough to break his own indoor national record. If history is any indication, Wilson is currently fast-tracking his way to a potential sub-44 while in high school, and that is something that has never happened in the entire history of track and field. We did have Steve Lewis break the 44-second barrier as a junior runner back in the 1988 Olympic final. However, if Quincy were to do this while in high school, it would set a brand new standard for just how fast a high schooler can go in the 400. In the entire history of the 400 meters, only 29 athletes have ever broken 44, and this includes many of the greatest names to ever grace the track in the one-lap circuit. But given that he already has a 44.1 to his name, which actually ties him at 38th fastest all-time, I think we are certainly set to see a potential sub-44 from this high school great Quincy Wilson, and possibly this will happen in yet another one of those meets against Bryce Deadman, where potentially we could stream that race. That'd be pretty baller. And now, I would love to hear from all of you about your predictions for Quincy Wilson in the 400 meters. Do you think he stands as one of the greatest high school athletes of all time? What do you think about this four-peat in the New Balance Nationals? And what time do you think he's set to run in the outdoor 400 in 2026? Thanks for watching, everyone. Until next time.